Yeah, so in the list we have seen multi-generational family businesses which diversifying in India and beyond, and many sectors. How are you seeing these businesses expanding globally while continuing to serve as a manufacturing backbone of the country to rising exports?
So Anas, I think the journey for a lot of the businesses in India started 2 decades back when, they liberalized Indian businesses to go and invest outside and acquire businesses beyond India, that is under the ODI route. Uh, you know, when it started off, large businesses like Tata's acquired, Jaguar, Chorus. So we saw a lot of the big houses do that initially. Uh, Over the years, we've seen that percolate down to a lot more family-owned businesses, closely held businesses, not just listed entities, looking at opportunities outside India in different sectors. More recently, we've seen a lot of our clients or business houses that we deal with looking at sectors like hospitality, mining, in geographies like Middle East, Africa, Europe. A lot of them find good value in terms of some of these opportunities, and I think it's a trend that will only increase. I think we are yet to see a large number, and the concept of an MNC historically has been a global firm investing in India. I think the concept of Indian multinationals will continue to grow and build.
I think one of the key themes of Barclays is going global, global Indians going global, all those themes. And if you look at the Barclays private clients who are in India family business list, I think almost 50% or more than that have gone global. So what are the sort of broader regulatory challenges that you've seen your clients face when they go global?
So there are two aspects to growing global. One is with respect to your businesses. I mean, you're expanding your commercial ventures. The structuring around how do you create your holding structures, if it gets funded from your Indian parent, whether you create a holdco and then, have an operating company layer. So there are various considerations to look at when you're looking at, how do you structure it. There are tax issues that you need to deal with. There is exchange control aspects that you need to deal with. There are a lot of local regulations in the country you're investing in that you need to take care of. We know of families who've invested into businesses in Europe. Obviously once they get into, there's a lot of diligence that goes into before you get into a business, and then the local labor laws, the local environment laws, each one is different. So it's completely different from what you've experienced in India. So, it's an entirely new subject, with respect to that particular country that you need to study and get into details before you go about. That's as far as the business is concerned. Then you have increasingly what we've seen is because businesses are outside, family members are also diversifying beyond India. You find a lot of families into second, third generation where invariably some member in the family is a non-resident, and therefore the personal planning part of it in terms of how do you look at creating capital outside of India, how do you make sure that your tax affairs are planned in a manner and thought through much before you eventually create value outside. So I think it's very difficult to deal with these situations at the last minute. We've seen families having a longer term plan, thinking through, and then taking steps to be able to achieve that over a period of time.
Okay. And we were having this discussion about one of the families outside. The discussion was about their son joining the family business, or the son is starting something else. And they asked him a question, what do you think, how easy is it to convince your son to join the family business? And they said the generation this time they sometimes want to have a lot of fun, or they want to do something different. So sometimes it's difficult to convince their children to join the original family business. Have you seen that amongst your clients, and have you gotten involved at some point to just convince the family, bring them together, or whatever? Have you done that?
Yeah, sure. So yes, yes and no, in the sense that I think it boils down to the sector in which each family is, and also the scale of the business. Obviously, larger businesses in a sector which is growing, it's invariably natural for the next generation to make sure that the opportunity in front of them with respect to the existing business is taken forward, and because it's a growth sector, so those are probably easier ones. I think the challenges that a lot of the first generation entrepreneurs face is where one is the scale and size may not be big enough for the next generation to be really excited about, and also the sector in which the industry in which they operate is something which is not necessarily of appeal. And we've seen the other, one example is that somebody who's studied abroad and then spent some time abroad working and then coming back to India and dealing with sectors which require a lot of regulatory interface, a lot of approvals. So it's something that deters them from those kind of businesses. So it's about how do you make sure that you're creating, maybe look at new businesses. That's what a lot of families end up doing. How do I give capital to the next gen to look at something new altogether? So these are some of the options that we look at.
Before we wind up, this is not part of the questions, but I want to ask you this, that a lot of families sitting here. What is the most common thing that you hear, which is like a problem that you hear and from the family business in the country and where you've come with, you had to spend some time on in an Indian context?
I think the opportunity today is immense in terms of, it's about capital allocation. There are a lot of options today with Indian family businesses in terms of what to expand into, whether they really put money behind their existing business and expand, or they look at new businesses. There are pulls and pressures within the family members in terms of getting into newer ventures, new age ventures, technology, and stuff like that. I think it's about taking a right decision in terms of capital allocation. A lot of families are not necessarily disciplined about looking at capital allocation in a manner where you measure businesses with respect to how their returns panning out. A lot of the decisions are emotional more than financially driven. And look, Indian families have been emotional in decision making, and that emotional part has really helped them carry through a business in spite of challenges. So having a right balance is important, not getting carried away with emotional.
And I think Barclays brings a lot of regulation and order in place as well, being heavily regulated entity.
No, absolutely. And look, I think for us to reflect back to each family in terms of what are the options, what they should be looking at, and it's at the end of the day, each of these families have created a lot of value. I'm sure they know a lot better than us, but it's about reflect. Sometimes you tend to look at somebody and get some reflection back and then take a call accordingly.
Thank you, Adrish. Can I have a big round of applause for Adrish, please? Thank you very much.